Pulling his fingers through his matted beard, Allerix squinted up at the small window for the 100th time. By the faint light of dusk he tallied the individual square stones framing the narrow opening, each block a different shade of brownish grey. 4, 5, 6, he said out loud to no one for the 100th time. Soon it would be dark, and every smelly part of him ached. Blisters and cuts covered his hands and feet, purplish-yellow bruises dotted his pale arms and thighs, and except for the random bucket of cold water thrown over his head, he hadn't washed properly since that night he'd shared a luxurious bath with Dominus, with Gaius. 7, 8. When he was a little boy, Alle had counted all sorts of odd things. Insects skating across ponds, the colourful shields hanging on the walls of King Decebulus's audience hall. Counting had become a mindless habit to soothe his childhood boredom and loneliness. Now, counting these meaningless little stones was Allerix's last link to sanity. His people had lost everything. Dacia was gone. The land was still there, with its thick forests, wide rivers and fertile green meadows, and the wolves were still alive, hiding amidst the trees and lurking near the mines belching gold and silver. But the soul of Dacia was gone. Except for the few who'd managed to escape to safety up in the high peaks of the Carpathians, most Dacians had been massacred or enslaved. Dacia's bounty and beauty, her golden sunrises and ice-cold mountain lakes, now belonged to her most hated enemy. She belonged to Rome. As did Allerix, son of King Theomachus, second son of a benevolent ruler of a small, inconsequential Dacian realm. Alle hadn't been lucky enough to escape, not for long anyway, and defeat at the hands of Rome meant either death in their arena or enslavement. So here he sat, alive but forgotten, just another slave imprisoned in an underground maze of cells. Was this his punishment, to be forsaken by everyone? By the changes of the moon, he'd figured it had been close to 2 months since he'd been locked in this dark box, whenever he wasn't slogging through another day of back-breaking chores alongside other nameless, unsympathetic slave labourers. No more daily banter with Max, Bryaxis, and Simon over hot, tasty meals. No companionship, no laughter, no wine. For over 2 months, Alle hadn't seen his Roman master. Not once. 2 months without his touch, his laughter, his mouth, and the warmth of his wicked, dimpled smile. But he'd had other visitors. The horrific nightmares of his capture at the hands of those sadistic soldiers had returned to haunt his only hours to rest, as had a shackle around his ankle, attached to a chain, linked to an iron ring bolted to the wooden floor. Fuck. He was right back where he'd started. Not one step closer to achieving his plans for vengeance. Only now he was rotting in a prison constructed beneath the ground.